Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Power Hour Radio Show. It is 12 April 2011. Yes, it is Tuesday, and you're in the right place. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have 3 hours of information today you probably won't get anywhere else. Other news, you're going to be surprised to find out, about Obama. The story about Obama and how he got a Connecticut Social Security number, why he has no bar license. Oh, my. I sent this to a few people and said, if this is true, then it's basically going to come out very soon. I could only hope. This will be one of the things that could save this country, is for people to find out the fraud behind it. Because you don't think he got into the presidency with this information in his history. He certainly did. This is the story. Citizensforfreedom.com published this. Four Winds, it's citizensforfreedom.com. If Trump is correct, now remember, Trump has gone out and done a lot of work and investigation. He says he's hired a lot of people, sent them to Hawaii to look into the birth certificate issue. He says his birth certificate is not a birth certificate. It is a certificate of live birth, which we all know. But if Trump is correct, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Obama, is hiding something in his past that is very, very bad. And it's not just his citizenship. Now, this gentleman worked as an IRS tax examiner for many years and has looked into backgrounds of people, so he's kind of feels that he's got the qualification to do this. I can't judge that, but he's coming forth with an awful lot of research that he has done. The whole story we covered yesterday about Lolo Soetoro may have been Barry's legal birth father. The public does not know for sure at this point who Barry's father is, and Barry may not even know himself. You notice that the president never has any family around him. It's kind of a bizarre situation. No father, no mother, no real idea about where his background comes from. He was raised Muslim in Indonesia, attended a Catholic-funded school. His mother dropped him as a dependent for some reason, maybe even when he was adopted by Lolo Soetoro. The passport records of the mother have been produced showing that Barry was no longer a dependent when Barry was permanently residing in Indonesia. Now, that's a little bit bizarre, don't you think? Your mother drops you. Barry went to Hawaii to live with his alleged grandparents after Lolo Soetoro and Barry divorced, and Barry's mother divorced. A certificate of live birth is there, but we all know that can be changed and altered. There is no evidence that Barry Soetoro ever lawfully changed his name to Barack Hussein Obama. If he's going under the name of Barack Hussein Obama, never legally changed his name, there could be a problem there. There is no proof that Barry Soetoro was born with the name Barack Hussein Obama. I'm willing to bet, he says, that Barack Hussein Obama is not present on the real live birth certificate as Barry's birth mother or his birth father. The public knows that Barry Soetoro finished high school in Hawaii as Barry Soetoro, then left and attended Occidental College as the name Barry Soetoro, where he did drugs and he flunked out of school. After dropping out of Occidental, that's in L.A., Barry showed up in New York homeless and on drugs by his own admission. He then hooked up with a Pakistani to live with and traveled back to Indonesia on his new boyfriend's dime to renew his Indonesian passport and travel to Pakistan with him. Ask any law enforcement officer in a large city or detective, and they will tell you that homeless young men on drugs in large cities usually end up as male prostitutes. He ended up as a world traveler with a degree. Think about it. Barry Soetoro returned to New York from Pakistan and began using the fictitious name Obama for some reason. Again, Barry Soetoro's own admission. One could only suspect that a person addicted to drugs returning from Pakistan to New York, the main route for Afghan heroin into the U.S., maybe Barry had a reason to start using a new name. There are literally over 1 million open warrants on file in New York. Maybe Barry is one of them. Well, after spending time in New York allegedly working under the name of Obama, it appears that Barry used a fictitious name, Barack Hussein Obama, for the first time to file his federal taxes in Connecticut at a post office box for the purpose of evading paying taxes in New York. and to establish a new identity, which is a felony with no statute of limitation. When the IRS received Barry Soetoro's federal tax filing, the IRS could not attach the name Barack Hussein Obama to the Social Security number provided or the address provided. So the IRS assigned the fictitious name Barack Hussein Obama a tax ID number for a person from Connecticut. That's how he got that, where Barry unlawfully filed his federal tax form using a false name. Barry Soetoro began using the tax number as his SSI number when using the fictitious name Barack Obama. That is why Barry Soetoro had a Connecticut SSI number. And he said that when he worked for the IRS, I saw this occur more than once, and yes, it is a felony to knowingly file a fraudulent federal tax form. Most of the politicians that cheat on their taxes claim it was just an accident. We all know that. That is how they get away with the tax cheat crimes. Using a fake name is no accident. It appears Barry fled to New York using his new identity to get a job. He likely ordered a fake diploma to bolster his new identity as Obama. Fake diplomas were very big in the 80s, and diploma mills were even being used by federal workers to get promotions. There's evidence that his alleged attendance at Columbia was faked. Barry never attended Columbia University, and Barry lied his way into Harvard. He had no transcripts to get in, including telling the Saudi royal family, boy, does this story get connected, the Saudi royal family, that he was fighting in Afghanistan with the Muslim Jihad against the Russians so they would help him get into law school. The Saudis apparently loved Barry's story of jihad in Pakistan and Afghanistan and paid for Barry to attend Harvard under the name of Obama. Now, the Saudis paid for this. The Saudi family has admitted to paying for Obama to attend Harvard and gave Harvard a gift of $20 million. Harvard, in turn, made their special attendee president of the law review a person that had never written a single law review. That's what $20 million will buy you. It is unlikely that Barry was a jihadist, and most likely he was a drug mule, if he was anything. Maybe even a CIA street hire to haul Afghan heroin back to New York so the Afghans could buy U.S.-made Stinger missiles with U.S. dollars to shoot down Russian helicopters. This gentleman that wrote this said, I hired people overseas to do work below my pay grade all the time, even foreign nationals. I think this is the story Barry told the Saudis, but he was most likely really doing a drug mule deal. His registration for selective service is not normal either. And, of course, there's all kinds of sites on this that you can go to, and we'll put it in the email blast today. After I looked at Barry's selective service filing, I noticed it was most likely fraudulent, too, based on the name that he used. Barry did not start using the name Obama until he returned from Pakistan, long after he flunked out of school in California. His selective service record, maintained in Chicago coincidentally, shows he registered at a Hawaiian post office as Obama in September 1980. Problem: Barry was getting high in California at Occidental in September of 1980 by his own admission and was not using the fictitious name Obama at the time. Barry began using the fictitious name Obama only after he returned from Pakistan. The selective service filing is fraudulent. Barry returned to Chicago, attended a semi-Christian radical black church with his first female lover, Michelle. Barry admits keeping in touch with Phil Boehner, who traveled to New York from Occidental to be with Barry and was most likely Barry's first love. Barry still could not get a real job because he was still a fraud. Even with his Harvard degree in hand, he could not lie and take the bar exam. But he could not work as a lawyer for a major law firm without a background investigation, and he would never pass one. So Michelle, who already was working for a law firm, now this is where it gets really interesting and explains a lot. So Michelle got Barry a job at her law firm. Barry never filed a case alone. He never filed a case. Strange for a Harvard law graduate, wouldn't you think? And he never filed one case on his own. That is incredible to me. nor did he ever file a motion. I think they know that Barry is a fraud right now because he wrote a lot of memos at the law firm, which they used to prove that he worked there, according to the law firm. But they think that they know that Barry was a fraud, and they don't want to be sued by previous clients. Barry rescinded his law license. Now think about this. Since when do you go to Harvard Law School and then practice for a few years, that is, making a few memos at a law firm, and then say, oh, I don't need this? Well, guess what? He rescinded his law license as to not be disbarred for fraud. The bar knows that Barry lied on his application. Michelle also had to turn over her law license for her involvement in corruption with the Chicago mayor's office, which shows and makes sense as to why Michelle does not have a law license either. She turned hers over. With time on his hands, Barry, a well-spoken black man, was able to get elected to a state office, oddly because he looked for fraud in his opponent's voter registrations and got his opponent disqualified from running. Barry, a well-versed liar, was a natural in state politics. He used his political influence to get himself a position as a lecturer at Chicago's law school. Barry embellished that position, which I've always believed, as a professor of law, which everyone knows is completely false. Barry was not a professor or even a specialist at anything but lying.